We are God's hands. Touch someone for Christ.
We are God's hands. Touch someone for Christ.
We are God's hands. So touch someone for Christ.
We are God's hands. Touch someone for Christ.
My name is Cholwe Mwinga, and I'm a member of the 12 Gates Choir. 12 Gates is a choir in Zambia that not only sings, but it is a choir that has delved into community service and outreach programs. They have a foundation that is called the 12 Gates Foundation. In my experience, serving in 12 Gates Foundation has been an amazing experience in that it has allowed me to look at life from a different angle.
Street Kids program started as a result of there's so many programs that we were seeing on Facebook popping up, and so we sat down and we had planned, and of all the plannings that we had and of all the help that we thought we could give, what was easier for us to do was to meet with the street kids and have lunch with them. The first event that we had was at Government Complex, and we had a number of street kids coming.
Here, as you can see from my uniform, I'm a registered nurse midwife. And I take pride in my work. And I always make sure that I make myself available when need arises from the foundation and also in my community. One of the activities that we like to do as a foundation is to prepare meals to go and feed the street kids.
So as a foundation, they have carried out various community services, and one that stood out for me was where we were feeding street kids. So we came up with a program where we were supposed to feed street kids, and this program was being spearheaded by some of our choir members, and one in particular, the one that actually did the lead in this program, is Sister Nchimunya Chisamu. Sister Nchimunya Chisamu was our member, but she's late now.
We have a program to go and feed the street kids, and while at it, we like to listen to them as we are also ministering. We hear the stories, we try to encourage them, and when we see a need, we come through accordingly.
We will feed them and have a fellowship with them where we can share our experiences in life and help each other in one way or the other, as well as share the love of God and even the gospel of God to them. I had a privilege of having a very deep conversation with one of the street kids who happened to be about 11 or 12 years old. So this boy told me his story, and it caught my attention in that he wasn't on the street simply because he wanted to, but circumstances beyond his control led him to be on the street. He found himself trying to find food and money just so he can feed himself and his aunt.
We had about 3 that we had weaned off the streets. One of them was in school, but at that time, he didn't have school fees. He had paid for his exam fees, and he didn't have transport money in books. So we had to facilitate for him to go back to school. We had provided for all the needs that he needed at that particular time, and he went to school. And then one of them was in need of employment. So we had to ask one of our church members who came in and helped him with a job. And then one of them, we found her, she was pregnant, and the person who was responsible for the pregnancy was nowhere to be seen. So she was just by herself and trying to survive off the streets. And so we also took custody of her. And so the one who was in school had finished school, and we are planning to see if the community development can now take him in so that he can go for further studies.
There was a time when the foundation identified some street kids, should I say women or ladies that were pregnant. And so we decided to help them have a safe delivery, because life is life. And regardless of who you are, what you do, where you live, it's important that you also have a safe
The
delivery.
one who was pregnant, she's now a mother and she has a child, though they are reunited with the man she claimed was responsible for the pregnancy. We learn to get to hear so many stories as to what forces the children to get into the streets. It has been so difficult for us to sometimes even deal with some of the issues that these street kids sometimes present to us.
For me personally, I looked at it in that, okay, we're going to feed street kids, and what came to my mind was that these are people that just want to be on the streets. I actually believed that it's not everybody that is on the streets due to the fact that they just want to be there, but for some it's not their making that they are there. And so ever since that day, I now look at street kids differently. I don't look at them the same way before I did. Would we like to feed street kids again? Yes, well, we would actually.
We are planning to come up with a training skills center, and in form of a rehab, where probably if we win them from the streets, we can be with them and then counsel them, have the people around who would be counseling them, and then win their heart to feel loved. Because most of the time, these children, what pushes them in the streets is because they feel they are not loved. So if they are in our custody for some time and then they are cancelled, we show them love and we win them. They feel loved. We prepare them to go into these training skills that they can probably show interest into, which can then help them in the future.
In 2019, we as a choir decided to help a lady called Memory Kashoto. She was involved in a road accident, devastating accident, I must say. We had, I can't remember the exact number of people that were seriously injured, and she was one of them.
In October 2019, twarefuma kuno kusolwezi ba Monica Codes Ministry, twali akitwe pa CBU okuyamba. Then twayinine morning Sunday, twasafika pa 10 mission pasifesh epiribuka. Then mukupiribuka muli basi paneso bali 5 bali fuire. Then nene bone washiri mufeneka muli basi. So idiana isa umfwa kwati nifyaka lipero na punda na timwe bantu ndi mukati mubasi ro baisa kufunya moshi afitu na ifya muli basi. So fu bashire kufunya banse anjikarika atawe pene na aliambire no kufimba mubiri wonse short time. Fu bashire tusenda batu twana pa General Hospital. General Hospital after that pima General Hospital anda jao vipanda kata mashini yakwe bati mtutu wachita operation musana ewali affected sana. So bashire nsenda abantu ana UTH. After that then 2 days twasamona na ba 12 gates. 12 gates na lewo mfafi nokulaba tamba fefira fine pa TV shabe shibe na shire mukubeshiba na chitika accident nafika ku Lusaka ero na shire beshiba ba 12 gates.
She couldn't get treatment from Solwezi, so she was transferred to UTH, and that's how the choir came to know about her. So we embarked on this project as a choir to help this lady, and I was appointed by the choir to be the chairperson of this committee. that would run and look into the nitty-gritties of how to help her and how to raise the money and all that was needed to have a successful project. And so that's how we came up with this project as a choir. It was a way for us to just be practical with what we believe in. We're not just preachers of the gospel and not showing practical evidence of what we do as a choir. This was a fellow musician, someone who was experiencing something that could have happened to any one of us. And that's why we decided to step in as a choir. So we were told about this issue by a friend who used to sing in the 12 Gates, but now lives in Solwezi, and he is the one that told us about this lady. He told us to go and visit her at UTH. So we decided one Sabbath afternoon to go as a choir to go and visit her.
Watumile mwata Yesu angufilile ku Calvary, angufilile ku Calvary, wayana kuyoya wahaya miaka yose kalunga ketu mwata wa muchano, wayana kuyoya wahaya miaka yose kalunga ketu mwata wa muchano, kalunga ketu mwata wa muchano, kalunga ketu mwata wa muchano, kalunga ketu.
Getse bambira okuwomba ekito ekalambasanga bana bakwalisa bali bomberemu kubomba mudi abali ambira okufaayo endala mmasha kuba tintu bashitira ebishimbi fyakuba tibakita operation bali lwishi abana bakwalisa namaka yonse bashitene kushita fyonse fyali foika ku operation. After that fo bashitentwana ku operation fuma ku operation fona shitebwera aikire mu 2 days mu UTH.
Then the next day we formed a committee and came up with this committee to run with this, and we started planning. So while we were doing that, we were updating the public, and we got so overwhelming response from the public, and people started donating money, so much that we didn't need to even have the concert, because we had planned to do the concert the coming weekend. But because of the overwhelming response from the public, we just said, I think we'll not go with the concert, we'll just raise the money through the donations that people were giving us. And by the third day, the Lord did something great. By the third day, because we had agreed as a choir, before we asked the public, we should also make our own donations. So we did indeed make our own donations, but by the third day, we had met the target that we needed to have the operation, and we even had enough money left. And I think we're all just moved by her situation. And that's how we even came about this idea of lobbying for money from the public through mobile money, and just taking the story out there so that people can help us. So while we were doing that, we were updating the public. She had that operation. So throughout this this project, we had it hashtag, and the hashtag it could have been me. This hashtag came from while we went there. I being a musician, we have traveled places with the 12 Gates using public transport too. And immediately for me, it hit me personally. Like I just said, I really felt like it could have been me. I I put myself in her place, and I wanted all of us as members of the choir to put ourselves in her place. It could have been any of us. So we were saying it could have been me, personalizing it and not telling the other person it could have been you, but we were saying it could have been me, because when you are feeling it that way, then you know the need that sister was going through, and that's why for everything we would call it could have been me, and that's why we named the project It Could Have Been Me. At the time we were doing all that, we discovered there's some needs, personal needs even at home, rentals, food, and different things that she needed, her and her husband needed. So that money was, you can imagine, enough to help them with all their needs at home, even to have the operation. So that Wednesday, when the president of Zambia, the then president, President Lungu, stepped in and gave us half of the money, which was 35,000. We had raised 32 as a choir, and through the other donations. So with all that, the amount that the president gave, and plus what we had raised from different funds, people through the public, we decided to go and make an appointment to go to the husband, and were able to buy the equipment for her, and she had that operation. We all felt it because we are musicians. She was a musician, and she had the accident while going for ministry, so that just really hit home for all of us.
Haya miaka yose kalunga kate tumata wa muchano murasa kwila kalunga akungulila kushiri watumine mwata Yesu angufilile kuyoya wa haya miaka yose kalunga kete twata wa mchano wayana kuyoya wa haya miaka yose kalunga kete twata wa mchano kalunga kete tumata 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 wa mchano.
Safe trip, Sisi. Safe trip. We love you. God bless you. Thank you.
Unashirisa kunoni ndalama iliana limwe nati ninchikala shirenda ndalama na mninga chita business tapareko ingatwana fana shire fire ploti no ine ploti yo njikelepo asande fino pali nenganda fiance fana shite nganda ino na ploti yonse mundala misho banga fude pa 12 gates. Life yandi pali nushita tetimbebe fionali intushira chitika accident na pali nushita na ikosa life yandi todia nali nshira chitika accident alishishako pa market naenda kona yako kunomba pali nushita na ikalile kwena life na inkosera na ishupa yashupa fisana naikala kufumania dini na nushita tapali business yo bomba na mwichito ya panga ndashikwanisha ndafirwa eno kuikala ndekala fila fini na hospital mfila fili kwa nshita shimo ndafirwa ukubwera tenje ku hospital mwana na doctor na mushitafirikwa ndalama ndafirwa nemyendere yakweba tintu naana ngoni kufizio nakajinge kombomfya apaka alionaika so ndafirwa ndelomba kuri ba 12 gates na alida papa afulisho mwanga fwire mwiro lya mumbali so no kwenda takalenda kai mwashiba kuno kumyeso imisebo sha amabampu so mukwenda filia so nishutuma natu twingi twalisa pona so takalenda so na kuchechi defilwa ilingi kuya kuchechi na kuya kukwaya mupimba ilingi defilwa ngando wa myendere. Panganda ngandifo kufuma panse balanjini aba ichife finiro bambika muchipuna na ikala ndifo kuya hospital ilingi filafirikwa kainda ya hospital after 2 weeks efe bampera kuya kumona na doctor so ilingi ndafirwa ngatapali transport nishikuikala ya dama days tawa iko hospital kumona na doctor manga ya monika transport filafiniro mwakwera ukuyano okuwera pa hospital po tu ya booking ni 200 yo tugonfi so fifingi filafirikwa pali nonjita kwene fende mfwe vilingi fyaleka lipa umsana na molu but pali nonjita umsana tristi tauleka lipa sana nomba problem ishalile fye kumolu amolu yaleka lipa njita shimwana chitantu yaka lipefi watenda manga taukwete mpe ya kushitomuti nishifilafine fyakula akalipa fyafilafine fyakula akalipa fyafilafine bakutina kwa mesha yakaba but pali nonjita omubili wena nde mfwa ulifye bwino.
Now I'm in touch with her and I hear there's some challenges that she's still facing. She's not able to walk. She's still not able to walk, but she can sit up. Just, I think 3 weeks ago, she was sharing photos of her where she had gone to perform with her friends. But I hear she told me there's still need for a wheelchair. And I think we can work towards that.
Wafulisho bangafuli ba 12 gates bali bombera bana ko bakwalesa na pali ichecho ndelomba ko kuli ba 12 gates wafulisho bangafuli kwena berekera papene bangafulishe ndelombo wafulisho na bombi finonjikere tapale fonde chita chakwe bati bangafulisha kofie yakwe bati na yafulisha mufi na kwambira mufi ka business rafine nde yafulisha kofie chitashimonda filona nguni kuchechi ndafiro okuya yakwe batishikwete transport kunweko naikalira pali ba distance na kuchechi so ndafiro yakwe batilimbi booking emotoka ndafiro okukwanisha ndafirwa nakajinge kombomfya apaka alionaika so ndafirwa ndelomba kuli ba 12 gates na alida papa afulisho mwanga fwile mwilolesha pali budia afweni na wumbi ekulira kwandeko na alira ba 12 gates bangafwe balinga fwile finge fe bangafwile na pali nonjita abantu balalanda papa afulisho mwanga fwishe kuno kusolweze abantu balalira kwena balinga fwile bali myafwile ba sister memory wafulisho bukalambe bondefwaye ubangafulishe na alomba kuli ba 12 gates chakwe bati abana bakwalisa lesa abapala bakwata konangwa kanono tubantumina konangu yakwe bati abene ngabachimona ntubanshitira kofe nangu kakwe bafya akamba mbaya ntundebo mfya kofe bantu ala kuchechi hospital ilingi fe kuchechi na hospital echinkaka bantu hospital bali mpera after 2 weeks na mkumona na doctor nombanga tapali fiance kubika pona kajinge fikaona ika echinshupire kofe finkosele kofe sana.
We can work towards that to help them as a choir. We can, because now they feel like part of us, so we want to see the best. But overall, I long for a time when she will stand to walk. That if it doesn't happen, we still glorify God, because now she's able to sit even after the operation, something she wasn't able to do.
Kwena lesale bapala bakunjibukishe ko balinjibukisha lesale bapala mu milimo yabo yonse o balebomba lesale batangirira kwena chakwe bati fyonse twalanda fyabomba fyachitiga kwena lesa ewinga bapera kwa mapalo ewinga balundira po fyonse inendi muntu fye tapale funinga bachitira baliti leso mwini ewishibe winga balandira pofyoza.
I think it's important for all of us as Christians to be practical in our walk, and that's why we decided to embark on this project as the 12 Gates.
Ndeba 12 Gates nakungandeko twaile ni kuli ba sister baleti Chimunya bali tusha last year. Kotwaikele kuli ba sister Chimunya twaikele ko 2 days.
Apparently, my partner Chimunya Chisamu Chanda, the late, was my partner. We had started this program. I miss her so much and so sincerely, such that sometimes when I sit to plan and things do not work out, I remember her zeal and her hard working and wanting things to be done and to be worked out as planned.
We do miss Sister Chimunya Chisamu a lot. But then we need to move forward and be able to show the love of God to others. Us doing that will actually be a way to remember her as well and to continue with the legacy that she's left behind, because she impacted so much, not only to us as a choir, but to others as well, that she ministered to through her works of kindness, even her hospitality. And so as a choir, we really look forward to these outreach programs and continue with the community services that she had introduced to us as a choir and even as a foundation.
While we were running around, we had this committee, and someone I could depend on is in Chimunya Chisamu. For every time I got stuck and I'm thinking, what do we do next? She's someone I could call upon and ask, sister, and that's what we used to call each other. Sister, what do I do now? What do I do next? What should we do? I remember calling her one time. She had traveled out of town and she was giving me advice. So I really miss her because, you need people like her. Chimunya is someone who knew someone. So you never got stuck. Even at the hospital, she had connections. She knew someone. So I miss Chimunya because even after the Kashotos were discharged, she opened up her house, and all we had to do is help her maybe some days in the cooking, but the rest of the things, the food and everything, she was the one providing. And so for me, every time I go through this story, I can't go through this project without thinking about what role Chimunya Chisamu played in this project. She was really there for us as a choir, and she was available. She opened her home, her food, her fridge. So I think as Christians we should emulate such where we are being practical with the way we do things. I really do miss my friend Chimunya Chisamu. And I hope to see her one day on that sea of glass.
We are God's hands. Touch someone for Christ.
We are God's hands. Touch someone for Christ.
We are God's hands. So touch someone for Christ.
We are God's hands. Touch someone for Christ.